Hey, what's up? This is Marcus with Machine City Audio. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I use Mixbox to create this kind of lo-fi sounding hip-hop instrumental. So let's get into it. So what I have in front of me is the Mixbox from IK Multimedia, and this has over 70 modules, which is crazy. That's a crazy amount of plugins that you get. Now, I'm not going to go over every plugin, obviously, because there's way too many effects in here to do that. So basically what I'm going to do is just show you the modules that I'm using, how they sound, and that's that. All right, so there's a reason why I have this track off. I would have this on, and let me play it so you hear. Let me click it on. It's this phonograph module that you use. This plays continuous throughout the whole time it's on. The only time you can turn it off is when you turn it off. So that is a bit annoying. I kind of wish they had the same thing that you have on the RC20, that when the music stops playing, then this stops as well. But it doesn't. It keeps playing. So keep that in mind if you use this. All right, but with that being said, let me play this instrumental, and then I'll break down the modules and show you what's doing what. All right. All right, so what I'm going to do is turn each one of these off. I'm telling you, that could get annoying, that phonograph noise. It can get annoying real fast. All right, but anyways, so let's hear what the Rhodes sound like by itself. So this is just the Rhodes without anything on it. All right, now some might be curious as to what Rhodes I'm using, or you might not care at all, but if you do care, I'm using the key suite from UVI, and this is their Rhodes. Really, this thing sounds great. I highly recommend checking these out if you haven't heard of these guys, or if you haven't heard of this, definitely check it out. All right, so now the first thing I'm going to add is the phonograph, and this is going to give it that vinyl sound. So let's add that on, and now play it. All right, next we're going to move over to the tape cassette, and the same goes for this one. As I said, if you have the noise on, that's going to continue to play throughout the whole time it's on. It doesn't have anything to shut off when the music stops, and it can get pretty loud. All right, but this is a really great sounding tape. Other than that, it's really great. It does a good job. So let's hear what that sounds like. So I'll start with it off, and then I'll click it in. Here's what both of these in. All right, and next I'm using the hall reverb just to kind of give it a bit more space. So let's hear it. And I'm also using this filter next to kind of darken the sound a bit more. But as you can hear, as soon as I click that on, it kind of takes away from the phonograph. So it kind of tames that a bit. So let's hear it now. All right, so now let's hear everything off, and then I'll click it back in. All right, so next up we have the drums. So what I'm going to do first is play the drums with the modules on, and then we'll break down each module. All right, so here's the drums. All right, and let me turn each one of these off, and then we'll start with the crusher. So I am using a crusher just to take it down to 12 bits, and then I'm also using it to cut off some of the top end. So let's hear what that sounds like with it on, and then I'll take it off so you can hear. Next, we got the tape cassette. And I did have the noise on for the tape cassette, but I just decided to turn it off for the video because it'll just play throughout the whole video. So I'm gonna just keep that off. But I'm not using any of the wow and flutter, just a tad bit, mostly for the tape saturation. So let's hear what it sounds like with the tape on, and then I'll take it off so you can hear. So you can hear that it's doing a good job of taking more of those highs off, giving it more, a dirtier sound, and that's what I was looking for. All right, next let's go to the bus compressor, and I'm just using this to fatten up the drums a bit more, kind of glue things together. And I do appreciate the fact that they have a high pass filter on here, because sometimes on the 500 modules, you don't have this, like it's really stripped down bare, but they still kept the high pass filter and also the grit, which I'm using. So here's what it sounds like off, and then I'll click it in. All right, and last we have the EQ PG, which is like an API style EQ, which I really like. I think IK Multimedias are my favorite for the simple fact that even when you run audio through these, it has a unique sound to it. But let's start with it off, and then I'll click the EQ in. All right, so as you can hear, I'm not going crazy with any of the effects. I'm just using it to kind of tone and shape the drums a little bit. So let's start with it off, and then I'll click it back in, and we can hear what all the modules are doing. All right, now moving right along, we are going to go to the bass. That is the last one that I'm going to be doing an example for. Now for the bass, it turns out I am using the Moto bass, and no, I'm not trying to promote IK Multimedia, but this is a great sounding bass, and I've been using it quite a bit. When I'm not using the bass on my Poly D, I'm using this. And you can choose several different styles of bass. You can choose the play style from finger, pick, slap, muting. You can do the strings from a 6-string, 4-string, 5-string. You can change the string age, the electronics, amps, everything. This is a really great sounding bass and a great plugin to have. So check this out if you haven't already. All right, so now let's pull up the chain I have for this. All right, so let's just bypass each module and let's play the bass by itself. Here's what it sounds like. All right, so the first one I want to talk about is the tone control, and this is from the amps, and I really like the sound of this one. So let's hear what that bass sounds like now with the tone control on. Okay, so let's move next to the Saturator X, and really, I love this plugin. I use the full version of it all the time. This is a great plugin for saturation. It does a good job at warming up whatever you put it on and fattening it up at the same time. So let's hear that. I'll start with the saturator off, and then I'll click it in. All right, next up we have the White 2A, and I'm mostly just using this to kind of tame those peaks because there are some peaks jumping out in the bass. So I'm mostly using it for that, and it's not really doing too much, but let's click it on. And it does add something nice to the bass though. All right, and then last we are using the EQ1A, which is the pull text style EQ. I like the full version of this as well, and I'm just using this to kind of boost 30 hertz a little bit. That's pretty much it. And let me see. Let's play that. All right, and now let's hear everything again, including the noisy phonograph. All right, here we go. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is just some of the things that I hope maybe they add in maybe a future release, maybe an upgrade or something. I want to talk about some of the things that I hope to see. So one of the things I hope to see is maybe, and I've heard this in a lot of the videos, is hopefully in high pass and low pass filter, you know, a dedicated one to each module, I guess. So even if they had it like right here, you know, a high pass and low pass filter, that would be really great because they don't really have too many of those on here. Another thing I would like to see is if they can add like an easier way to flip through the modules. That would be pretty cool. Like you see now, you got to go up here, go through here, you know, if you want to make some changes, which is not like that crazy to do, but you know, if you want speed and you really want to preview something and you really want to get that workflow, like keep it up, then I think that's a good way. If you just had a way where you can have like an arrow or something to where you can kind of flip through each module, preview each module without, you know, having to click through here, that would be pretty cool. I think that would be dope. Now, as far as CPU wise, it is great on CPU, but when you start adding in like a lot of effects modules, it can be a bit heavy on the CPU. So keep that in mind. All right, but that is all I got for you today. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. I am Marcus with Machine City Audio. Peace, and until next time.